Welcome to Studio Snack. I'm Lydia Thornley, designer, illustrator, visual artist, and my workspace gets freezing.
And I'm Narcís Sauleda, designer, creative director, and I love the colors that are on the trees at the moment.
Aren't they marvellous? I saw them on the Olympic Park, in the Olympic Park, as I was walking over here this morning. So, because it's autumn, we give you pie. This month we've been ridiculously overexcited to order an object at the V&A East Storehouse, which we like very much indeed. Did we mention that?
It was definitely my highlight of this month, potentially the year. It's an incredible place. It's a place where you can see all these objects in flesh, and it's just amazing. And we recorded our visit, so we, instead of having a WhatsApp interview this week, we're gonna have the recordings of our experience. But first of all, I feel like we need some nerdery. Lydia, what have you been wondering about?
Well, there has been nerdery, and I love the stuff that delving into a topic turns up. Not that I've been digging into actual pies, you understand, though, come to think of it. But I digress. Nerdery. What is a pie? Go into a pub and chances are you'll just have a crust on the top. Or it might be shepherd's pie or fish pie with a topping of potato. But the Oxford English Dictionary holds firm with pastry. They were made in ancient Egypt, more like a crumble with a honey filling covered in an oat, rye or barley crust. There was a recipe for a chicken pie carved into a tablet before 2000 BC. Why have a cookbook when you can have recipes on tablets of stone?
I love that.
There's a curious link, it turns out, between mince pies and Stonehenge. Who knew? Whose builders may have eaten something similar. I would have thought they'd have needed plenty of them to keep them going. And it was the ancient Greeks who brought in the pastry bit. Then the Romans picked it up and ran with it. Literally, it was their roads that enabled the concept to travel. The word pie appeared in medieval times for meat or fish enclosed in pastry, but the pastry was packaging rather than for eating, handy for sea voyages, for instance. But scarily, the pastry itself was called a coffin.
Oh, that's weird and morbid.
Yes. Then by the 16th century, cooks had added butter or lard to their pastry, which changed it into something that you could eat. There were posh pies for big banquets, some even containing poets, actors or musicians, not cooked, I'd like to point out, and a sort of Russian doll of pies for weddings with a live snake or birds in the middle to pass the time. I found a quote. Kind of, they might need something like that. And there were workaday pies, including the fidget pie, which was layers of pork, fruit and potatoes. Denby Dale in Yorkshire has a Guinness World Record for its giant pies. It even has a pie committee and a pie hall.
That sounds about right. This is an amazing array of nerdery. And now it's that moment that we were talking earlier, which is our Storehouse not WhatsApp interview with ourselves. So we went to see two objects, and the first one was the pie, a costume drawn by Lottie Collette for the Mother Goose Theatre play. So let's listen ourselves and see what we said.
So we are in the V&A East Storehouse, and we're looking at the Mother Goose, the pie costumes. Lydia, explain a little bit what we're seeing.
We're looking at a watercolour design for the pie costume, and what we weren't expecting to see were all the pencil notes on the outside of it on how it works, how you can get into it, poles to carry it. It's really interesting. So it's as much diagram as illustration.
How much do you think it would weigh?
Oh my goodness. Well, as you need poles to carry it, I would imagine it's a pretty heavy beast, because I would think that there would be some sort of wooden structure inside it. What you can't see is what it's actually made of. I would imagine there's a fair bit of cloth in there, but cloth weighs, particularly if it's stiffened with something.
And the size is huge.
It is huge, because you can see the tiny little feet sticking out the bottom.
It's amazing, the detail of the shadows and the details of all the different bits, like these little birds.
Yes, yeah, and they are tiny, and they look to be, looking at the pencil lines, they look to be on wires coming out of the top of the costume, and then you've got the pastry leaves at the top of the pie. So it's taller than human height, and it has 3 bits of pastry decoration on it. and a pastry top. And the top looks to open out in two halves.
Yeah, just to get in, I guess.
Yeah.
It doesn't make justice in the website.
No, and the website is very good, but I think it tells us something. We're so used to looking things up online. And now we're standing here looking at the actual design. There is so much richness in it. The colour is more vibrant. There's detail that you can't see in a thumbnail photograph online. It really is worth turning up, and just the atmosphere of being in this space where objects are looked at is quite something. It's an experience as well as a piece of research. And the second object we booked was a Beatrix Potter illustration. That was magical. We were expecting just the original illustration, which is special enough, but listen to what we found.
We're now in front of the Beatrix Potter painting with a woman holding a pie. And this is quite extraordinary. Lydia, can you explain what we're seeing?
Yeah, when we were researching, our episode is about pies, so we were looking for illustrations, and we thought that what we were coming to see was just a straightforward Beatrix Potter original illustration of somebody with a pie. But again, this is an example of what you get when you actually turn up and have a proper look at something. There are publisher's notes written at the base of it asking her to change it. And it really made me smile, because it's like, times never change. People always ask you for amendments to things. It's exquisite. She worked absolutely tiny, but it's such a privilege to see something that is an original, that's stuck to its backing with tape, and that she sent into the publisher and basically they turned down.
I can't believe as well, because the amount of detail that she's put and the time that she would have spent to do this little illustration, it's possibly quite big, but and I think it's perfect. Like, I love the face of the woman, in fact, but obviously the publisher didn't like the old woman's.
Asking her to change it, yeah. And I think what's lovely is that it brings us closer together in a way, because we're looking at this illustration from all that time ago, and yet her experience of being an illustrator was like anybody's experience of being an illustrator now. You send stuff in and people ask you to change it.
Yes.
We won't have records of illustrations being done now and the comments that came back. As we can see here, there'll be no record of that interaction between illustrator and client, and I think that's quite sad.
It's beautiful. Like, I love the simplicity of the drawing, but the amount of detail that she's put, and the little pencil that she must have used to.
She packs a lot of story into a tiny space there. And I knew she drew small, but this is absolutely tiny. I mean, I suppose the piece of paper is, it's an imperial size, but it's somewhere between A5 and A6, and the illustration is smaller than that. And to what extent she penciled things in before she inked them, it's hard to tell. But everything, there's a tremendous economy of line there. No line is wasted, no bit of colour is wasted. It's all telling a story.
It's everything that you need, no more, no less.
No, it's fabulous. And researching on screen is convenient and a great first step, but we realise that seeing objects in real life brings so much more richness to the research.
Yes, and it was magic to see in that original work, because even like on the books of Beatrix Potter, you don't see the amount of detail that she actually puts on those drawings that we saw in live.
That's right.
Also, because usually they get edited out, crisped a little bit.
Yeah, the print process itself takes it back a level from the original.
Yeah, so that was really, really nice. The other thing that we learned was that sometimes it feels intimidating or a bit of a palaver to go to a place to do this research, so you prefer to stay at home, but actually the experience brings so much information and part of the experience as well. It fulfills your soul. I left the V&A feeling like I had like a very unique experience, like I felt very privileged. And talking about experience, we did some experiments, didn't we?
We did, and the brief to ourselves was to do a pie chart.
How did you get on?
Well, in my design life, I've done a lot of pie charts, mostly for annual reviews, and there are all sorts of ways to make them look more interesting on a layout, but they are fundamentally quite dull. So why not make an actual pie chart? I illustrated the one that was in my head, an open pie, then I realised that was actually a tart. So I invented a sort of raised pie, like a pork pie, with some pastry coloured with beetroot and some with saffron. I have no idea if you can actually do this, by the way. Then I illustrated a sort of love child of a raised pie and a terrine with a stacked bar chart inside, which is sounding very bake-off. Narcissus, what did you do?
That sounds really amazing. A pie chart and a bar chart in one chart.
Yes.
On a pie, actually.
Yes.
So I fancied to do something more manual, so I went and I bought the pastry. I didn't do it from scratch. But yeah, I just created a pie chart from data that I found on internet about pies, and I baked the pastry. I tried coloring the pastry with the time that you leave in the pastry to bake.
I love that.
A bit
I love
longer.
that.
The result is not incredibly great because I basically managed 2 colors, but it was an interesting experiment to do. Also because it's all about timing and how much time you need.
That's that's kind of data in itself, isn't it? I just love the idea.
Yes.
And in reality, in design, you have an idea like that, you rough it out, and then you hire in somebody who actually knows what they're doing to make it.
That's it. I just need someone. I need Mary Berry to do it for me.
Exactly. So there we have it, pie. Join us next month for another studio snack. Pie?
Absolutely.